Welcome back to the desk ahead of our second series of the day. Before we move on, guys, quick take, a few words, 5 words to describe the first game we had.
You take the first 3.
Yes, and Fnatic, Judge, you go.
That escalated quick.
Oh my god.
Lore sad.
I can't even be sad, that's amazing, honestly.
There we go, thank God, thank goodness. Oh man, and they're still posing.
Still posing, yeah. TS in a good form, and hopefully their sister team from the LPL, BLG, is looking to find the same success in the second game that we're going to have here. It's going to be BLG versus T1. I don't feel like either team has been living to the expectations around them, especially for BLG.
No, definitely not. I thought BLG, there were going to be a lot of people's pick for a 3-0 team coming out of this. And I think BLG and Gen G were both some of the favorites in the tournament. Just to have them at 1-1 and then get the bad draw of the defending world champions is tough for them.
It's a tough one, but I think they've had at least an awakening with the LNG game. So I feel like they're going to be a little bit more prepared, especially when it comes to the meta, because they got Yone. So that's like a slap in the face, basically.
There is a matchup that we're all looking forward to, though. When it comes to these two teams, it's our featured matchup presented by Mercedes-Benz, and it is Knight versus Faker.
We have the Old Kings facing off against the contenders for the crown in today's featured matchup presented by Mercedes-Benz. Despite coming back and winning Worlds last year, T1 has not looked like that legendary team we have come to expect. Just barely getting into Worlds by the skin of their teeth.
Away, Glacial Prison still connects, and Zeus can put down the equalizer. Keria flash, hostile takeover hits onto 2. She turns one of them, and Pain Gaming can only watch from the fountain as T1 rip them apart.
BLG will be one of their biggest challenges to maintaining their throne, having been knocked out of 2023 Worlds by T1 last year.
T1, they're on their way to the quarterfinals.
This is an opportunity for BLG to show they are ready to take that final step towards winning the World Championship.
Preshow getting lower and lower, just trying to 1v1 Bin, but not doing a whole hell of a lot. Bin still standing. BLG, again, just wipe the fight. Last desperate moves, but the flash charm coming in from Knight is enough. The ace there for BLG.
BLG may have faltered early, but a win against the defending champions T1 would prove they are not just here to compete, but to win.
And I'm so excited about this matchup because we just think about the accolades that these two players have stocked up. From Faker's side, he's got 4 World Championships, 2 MSI Championships, 10 LCK Championships. That guy has medals, by the way. He's got a lot on his for himself. But for Knight, by the way, 5 LPL Championships tied with Clearlove, the GOAT, and Sahu as well. And a lot of it has been super recently. 6 finals back to back in the LPL. The LPL has been Knight's show. So like for both of these players to be going up against each other, while also I can't forget about the fact that he has the MSI championship from last year, Knight. So they both are stacking accolades, and now they're going up against each other. They're in each other's way, and it's going to be fun to see these two players go up against each other.
What is it going to come down to? Because the expectation around this matchup is always high, but what do we think of the form of both teams? BLG, for me, they could have won the first game they played against LNG. It came down to silly little micro mistakes, actually, that came down to fights on their side.
Yeah.
Fully executed here.
I put BLG as pretty heavy favorites into this one. Especially because of the teams that they've played against. The win that T1 had, as dominant as it was against the CB LOL, whereas we've had BLG just falling to LNG, who then advanced as a 3-0 team. And I think they were a little bit outdrafted. Like we've seen now, I think Yone's 10-2.
Yeah.
The Yone Rumble team compositions, I think, are swinging a lot of these games that are up against pretty even matched teams.
Yeah, and I mean, for BLG, when they went up against LNG, they had like a 3K goal lead at 11 minutes before they threw it, right?
Yeah.
So that happened. Same could be said for T1 when they went up against Top Esports. They had a 3K goal lead before the Jhin quadra kill incident. So they'll be pretty upset that the matchup that they were looking forward to, the biggest one that they, like both respective teams had, they had control at a certain moment until they lost at a key point in team fight.
Yeah, I would also just say though, these teams are too good at pulling off Rumble Yone combos with any setup CC they have, whether it's the darkness from the Nocturne or an engage like the Rel. So I think they're going to learn that lesson pretty fast, and the coordination from all of these teams is extremely high. So I do actually have BLG as a pretty big favorite.
Same.
Draft dependent.
All right, Sam, casters think take it away for this one. I guess the analysts think the same. What do you guys think for this one?
I think it is fair. Peg BLG is the favorites. While the history and the aura will always favor T1, the road to get here certainly favors BLG, but it all comes down to a single best of one, and in a best of one, really anything is possible. So we're just going to have to see how the draft shapes up.
I mean, let's not forget, it was only at MSI not that long ago where BLG didn't beat T1 once, but twice. And people saw T1 at a higher level going into that tournament. This one, right now, T1, they struggled their way into here. And I feel like it's tough to judge the level of T1 right now, because we saw some promising things where they kind of got out-team fought by top esports. There was, as Ryan said, the unfortunate quadra kill situation from JackieLove, and then against Pain Gaming, they were extremely dominant. So honestly, it's really hard to tell what level T1 is at right now.
One, I think it's a bit of a reset for both teams, potentially, right? We saw, obviously, LNG mount a pretty impressive comeback. We saw T1, I think, get caught off guard a little bit by what Aurora could bring to the table in some of those fights. Certainly, both teams probably have a better sense of what they want to prioritize in this meta, but with T1, tons of leads early on. It was a similar story for BLG against LNG, and we'll have to see if either team can take that strong early game and leverage it again against their opposition today.
And what I will say is that, historically, T1 is a team that don't start Worlds off incredibly strong, right? They have this incredible record, right? Where their worst group stage record was 5-1. They've only ever lost one, and this was true last year as well.
Well, they lost to they beat TL, they lost to Gen G, and they beat Cloud9, and then
they
to start their
BLG.
And then to start their great run where they beat literally every LPL representative, they beat BLG, and you know it had to feel good. It had to feel sweet at MSI for BLG to get their revenge, but Worlds is a different beast.
And all I'm saying is that, on the one hand, totally makes sense to have BLG as the favorites. On the other hand, T1 has already lost a game. And, you know,
there's no more losses left.
Yeah, they've already given
BLG
that one up. So,
until best of fives.
Yeah, so it's a scary thing, because that pedigree really does follow them. It's always mind-blowing when people ask me, like, why is Faker so popular? Well, most people have one World Championship. Maybe two at best. He's got 4.
Yeah, but then you zoom out and you're like, actually, most people don't have a World Championship.
And it's just, it's really crazy to realize that, like, regardless of their form, T1 have a way of performing. And so that's why we're excited for this matchup. Many people believe it's too early in the tournament, and I totally understand that sentiment. But the good news is that there's still room for both of them to be able to make it out still.
Just shout out to EasyHoon there on the support staff on the side of BLG. Legendary SKT Azir back in the day, 2015 run, now supporting BLG. I think they're too far away in years for me to be like, he's got all the secrets. I can't imagine that a lot of 2015 transfers over, but you never know.
Now, I was looking back at their best of 5s when they met at MSI. There was a lot of focus on Faker back then. It was Azir Orianna every game. The idea was to try and pinch his pool and put him on something that he couldn't have the same level of impact on. Back then as well, Senna was a very high value champion in terms of both sides were actually really looking to contest it. And I'm curious as to what the priority is going to be in this match, because if it hasn't been obvious enough, Yone is clearly important. My opinion, I think we share this opinion, is it should just be a permanent red side ban. Because we were cooking, I was throwing randoms. I was like, Rammus and Lissandra, probably 2 champions that I think you could throw into Yone.
All I'm saying is,
but I don't think they're going to do it.
If you walk into a draft meeting with any pro player ever and you say the words Rammus or Lissandra, you're getting fired. So, you know, let's just, it's banned. Yay! Yone banned!
Okay,
Love watching it. It's just a little too strong. Shout out to T1 for that one.
The Aurora going to follow that one up. Okay, so T1 are just removing some of the really powerful champions on the meta. Makes a ton of sense. Orianna, obviously, also very strong in the meta. And the Nocturne, the thing that's kind of, I think, surprised many with how impactful it's been so far at the tournament. The utilization of his ultimate to set up for these other teamfight tools. The Sejuani removed as well. Does leave things up like the Ashe, the Skarner, the Vi. We've only seen Wei on Vi so far in this tournament, and I would be surprised if we didn't see him on it again.
Ahri? Knight's Ahri.
I don't think they would first pick it though, would they?
I mean, probably easier to first pick the Vi, as you suggested. I can't imagine the immediate response would be a blind pick Ahri, but With Smolder and Yone off the board as well as Orianna, obviously the mid lane pool, and technically Aurora as well, the mid lane pool is pretty heavily pinched.
I mean, obviously Knight's Ahri is world renowned. It's one of his best champions. He has an unbelievable win rate on it. And so with the confidence, and as you said, with the pool being narrowed down, Knight is saying this is a champion that I want to play. Makes complete sense for him. So now with the Vi and Gnar being taken away on the side of T1, what's the pairing going to be? Oh, they're pairing up Skarner. A little bit surprising. Typically, you'd expect something like a Jarvan or a Viego, something with a little bit more damage and setup, because if an Ahri charm connects, you want to make sure that you have good follow-up. But it looks like the Sylas... Oh, Faker's Sylas!
Also, Sylas with a Skarner on the other side of it is not something I've seen yet, and I'm really curious to see how impactful that can be. But Sylas, a champion who's just really come back to the meta. He's been changed repeatedly. People have talked about him in solo queue for a very long time, but only at this tournament has he really come back to the forefront of professional play. Taking away the RI ult, obviously very solid. The tankiness you get from a Jax ult as well is something to consider. And it's going to really affect BLG's considerations as we go into the second ban phase in terms of what they feel comfortable grabbing. Because let me tell you, Alistar is no longer an option.
It's a really fun skill matchup too, because the charm determines everything, right? Yeah. Charm can use to interrupt some of the dashes of the Sylas trying to get to you. On top of that, like if the charm is ever gone, Sylas just always wins a trade, just because of the additional healing they'll get on his W. So, super interesting. Right now, I would say that he doesn't have the best ultimates to steal.
Yeah.
And like BLG's like, maybe we don't play Alistar. But we'll see how the rest of the draft pans out, as the Kai'Sa and the Ziggs going to be removed from the bot side of BLG. The Renata going to be taken away from Keria, and the Ashe to follow.
Will be interesting to see, of course, if we do see an early swap here.
That's what I was thinking.
With Kalista putting a little bit of pressure on BLG, certainly. Obviously, Kalista highly mobile. A little bit tough for a lot of these champions to lock down, tough for something like a Jax or a Skarner to stick to that pick. They can't burst her out immediately.
Okay. I was wondering, what do they even go here? I thought maybe Ezreal.
Jhin, an interesting choice, of course, to follow up on the Ahri charms. It's easy to land that long-range CC.
This is good. I like the Poppy a lot, especially when you think about the dash from Vi, the Sylas mobility, and then just Kalista. Poppy's just great into Kalista in general. I don't know how I feel about the Jhin just because of the dive, but I guess BLG is saying Poppy should provide a lot of peel, enough for the Jhin to be able to play pretty comfortably.
So far in the tournament, LPL teams have an abnormally high priority on Jhin. It seems to be a pick that they're super comfortable with. They are good at leveraging that long range, and of course, when you have a Jax, when you have an Ahri who are willing to dive in, the Jhin follow-up is something very powerful. Keria, please. I would, please. You
Don't
won't?
get baited by picks.
No, I know. I'm saying please. I'm not saying it's real. I'm saying please, sir. One time.
Begging you. Please just lock and pike.
Thank you, Betty. All right, well, this would be a mix-up. This is a classic combo, brainstormed, theory crafted, scrimmed for years. Hasn't seen the international stage as much, but it is obviously the combination of the Kalista and the Neeko, very, very powerful. Neeko can go in, get right back out. So much setup CC, so much chain CC, and kind of a return to some of what made Keria so successful in our previous year, which was a lot of these really aggressive counter pick supports.
What I like about this, the comps, is that there's just a lot of comfort across the board. You've got Bin on Jax. Like, obviously he's known well for his Camille, but his Jax, like, is just as terrifying on the top side. And that's paired along Knight's Ahri, one of his all-time greatest champions, an unbelievable win rate on it. I think this year alone, he's only lost, like, one game.
Career long, I got 58 games, courtesy of our friends at Games of Legends, 86.2% win rate. I'm not going to do the quick math there, but it's very much in favor of the win column.
And in contrast, Zeus, one of his best champions throughout his career, has been his Gnar. And then you contrast that, like, it's hard to say for Faker specifically because he's played for so long.
Yeah.
He has so many champions. But I always think back to that 2019
when
Faker,
he stole the Gnar.
Yeah, and like,
destroyed an entire region in a moment.
Jensen 1v1 matchup he had, like, he's just, he's a good Sylas player, and it's going to be a fun one. These solo lane matchups are going to be exciting. I'm hopeful we'll get standard lanes, but I'm not going to promise anything as we jump in for our best of one matchup between BLG and T1.
Neither team will be eliminated, but obviously both teams hungry for that 2-1 bracket, looking to get out of Swiss as quick as possible. Don't want to risk a single thing. Remember, it was last year. T1 beat BLG to make it out, to qualify for top 8 in the bracket stage of Worlds. So Keria sneaking his way in, pretending to be Oner. A bit of mind games here. And the second game that we've seen T1 really go for one of these compositions that's very heavily focused around some of these team fighting ultimates, right? We saw a similar thing when Faker was playing Neeko mid in their first matchup. Ultimately didn't quite work out. The Aurora disrupted it, but there's no Aurora this time. Should be able to find a few more effective engages.
We're seeing the grasp Ahri again, by the way. Like, we've just been seeing...
Flash out from Keria. Do they know it's Keria? Otherwise, they might not have tracked the flash. If they do, his lane phase is going to get a little bit tougher against this Poppy.
So the problem with Knight starting E is you do concede a lot of control in the mid lane.
Yeah.
W gives you just a lot of trading power just because it's a short cooldown, easy to last hit, helps you control the wave. E, long cooldown, single target, doesn't offer a lot. Now, we talked about the possibility of a lane swap. It looks like BLG is going to be the ones to initiate it. And T1 naturally ready as the split map has begun.
Makes a lot of sense in the context of T1's bot lane. Obviously, you really do not want to be against Kalista Neeko for the first few levels. That's a picture of Faker. You throw that up on your phone, we're putting it up every time. I don't know if you've noticed, but there's a theme to how we promote Worlds, and it always involves cut the music, Faker. Doesn't matter what he's doing. He can play piano, he can sit on a throne, he could take your order at a fast food restaurant. We would all love it. It's what keeps us going. And I think it's a big part of the reason why we're always giving T1 the benefit of the doubt here. Of course, in the 2v2 lane swap, though, LCK team's a little bit more experienced, popularized in that league initially as Knight doing a pretty good job, getting a lot of grass procs. Of course, you highlighted it takes away from some of that burst damage, but does offer a bit of sustain, a bit of additional damage, and does give you that permanent health stacking, 4 per proc.
I mean, yeah, it makes sense to me. Well, it doesn't really. It's more.
As an Ahri enthusiast, you hate it because you want to do damage.
Yeah. It's understandable in the context of melee matchups, right? Because it's very easy to generate the grass procs. You can just keep hitting your opponent. Gives you a bit of extra sustain. That part makes sense. It's just that in the mid game, I feel like you lose a lot of damage.
Kind of like when you can proc electrocute on somebody.
Yeah. Now, this is the part of the lane swap that we all know and love because this is the skill part of the matchup.
Can you pull off the dive? Ben, level 2, level 3 now is great. Counter-Strike crucial to survive the dive. On here as well, I think the second you see the Poppy, if you don't know what abilities have been taken, you have to assume Steadfast Presence is there, and it really stops any potential of the dive.
Notice how respectful Bin is being as well. But definitely the winner of this situation. Zeus will be able to catch this last part of the wave, but Bin having access to a nice stacked wave on the bot side is going to be more than happy to pick this one up. Overall, though, nothing too crazy happening either side. The initiation of the swap is now concluded as both laners will now look to return to their respective lanes.
Of course, pretty calm, all things considered. We talked about it in the previous game, but once the initial dives kind of fade away, might see the reset to standard lanes now that the first few levels have been kind of survived, now that both bot lanes have been able to get a little bit more experience. But remember, in the context of this year, BLG have certainly had T1's number. Last year, T1, well, they had all of the LPL locked down, but this year at MSI, of course, we saw across 2 best of 5s, BLG were able to come out in both of them, knocking T1 down to the losers bracket, meeting them there, beating them again to face Genji in the finals. So history right now, at least, favoring BLG as we head into this best of 1.
It was at Worlds last year where they met in the qualification stage. It would have been in the 2-1 bracket, if I remember correctly, where T1 actually got a 2-0 to the surprise of many. And were able to qualify there for the quarterfinals, where they then, in fact, made their miracle run all the way through to the finals. And coming into this one, again, understandable that BLG are expected to be the heavy favorites. They're a team that, ever since Wei has joined the roster in summer, they've become very complete, very well-rounded. Their ability to generate early game leads is off the back of they'll leverage their prio, and then Wei is hovering. And just as I say it, the observers highlight it for us. They're pushing mid, pushing bot, and they're working now together. Wei sets his sights on the bot side of the map, doesn't want to get spotted out by that little phantom. And they're all just kind of coordinating, providing that safety. He can look for a bit of a gank hit, and here it comes.
Wei coming in. On can go in as well and try to interrupt some of the escape tools, but they're just hitting the clone. Keria able to shapeshifter out to safety. Crucial to get away from that gank, but well highlighted, Betty. Good use of the line pressure from BLG to fish, and you can see, meanwhile, T1 not really able to make a play of their own anywhere else.
So this is exactly what has made BLG so effective in the early games. And sometimes we've seen some of their inconsistencies in the early games at times, one of the things that they were criticized for early on in summer. But Wei has just kind of allowed that, to kind of allow these very talented laners to thrive in the way in which he enables them. And he doesn't tend to showcase a preference. We've seen him play through top lane as well.
Ooh, nice route. On getting chunked out here in the 2v2. You know T1 are stronger, forcing the flash out from Elk 2. Incredibly clutch from the T1 bottom lane to just instantly leverage their 2v2 advantage.
And this is the thing, we can't talk about individual talent without talking about the T1 members. This bot lane are typically very aggressive, and they find a successful 2 versus 2 to get that summoner spell out from Elk.
And this is why the lane swap probably came out. You want to avoid this 2v2 at all costs. Yeah. They thought the first 3 levels, if they just got level 3 without needing to fight, it might be a bit easier, and it certainly is, but still very much favoring T1 as they're still grabbing these plates. You've also got pressure on the top side from Zeus as he just continues to push these waves in against Bin. Oner grabbing the grubs in the meantime. Will only be able to grab 2, but T1 across the board getting a lot.
They do have a 1k gold lead now, just off the back of the lanes kind of returning to normal. Really objective advantage in favor of T1, just as you highlighted. Now BLG set their sights on Faker.
Nice initial movement. Obviously, Charm does connect. Faker not going to try to extend the trade at all. Uncertain where On is. Good presence of mind, good awareness. If he commits anything there, very likely will have to burn Flash to escape. In the end, though, some gold has been picked up, so gold lead leveraging to about 600, really balancing out. Grubs will feel good on the next spawn, though. T1, they can get 2. We'll be able to grab the 4 grub buff with pressure Zeus is putting down right now. Will make it that much easier for him to take some of these early plates.
Keep my eyes on the minimap just to see what potential options Wei once again sets his sights on the bot side of the map. Nice bit of trading there from Knight to put pressure down to Faker, but he's sitting pretty with his farm. I like how Wei consistently plays around the fact that, like, oh, his bot lane has push, he's there to leverage. Maybe they can go for an objective, maybe they can set up for a dive or a kill. He's going to start off the Drake, but I think T1 want to contest this. They're going to be able to clear out this bot wave pretty quickly. Level 6 has come through from Gumayusi.
Oner on the way down. On with a knockback into the wall, but there's no immediate fall. They just now spot Oner. Knight is going to get the first move, however. This could be disastrous. Perfect CC layering. Oner can't even push the ult. He barely manages to get it all in time. Faker has stolen away the ultimate. What else can he get with the dashes? Can he chase down Knight? One more now coming through. Has stolen the ult, now using it. Wants to chase, Wei ready to go over the wall. T1 zoning him off. Faker goes in again anyway. Flash away from the charm. That's perfect. The pop on the Q2 coming through. Faker gets another dash. Should be fine to escape. Bin coming in. He should go down. Knight gets the kill in return.
Faker doesn't quite have the mana or the damage to be able to get another, but it ends up being a 2 for 2. Knight with the quicker collapse, but T1 with their bot lane having more damage to be able to convert the kill. The Dragon stays alive, and as Oner makes his way back out onto the map, he's already pinging the objective.
And great CC, frankly, from the side of BLG to recognize they had the opportunity to kill Oner. Could have been a massive threat in the fight, and certainly could have made Knight vulnerable. They weren't able to spot him out first. Messy back and forth, T1 still ahead in gold. Now T1 first on the objective. They're spotted. BLG, a lot of pressure mid, currently denying some creeps away from Faker, so there is a gold price that T1 are paying to take this objective. Have to respect on the flank, but BLG clearly willing to give it up, and well played to T1, coming ahead in objectives across the board.
While all that was happening, we'll get to that in a second, but notice here, it's Oner that's isolated because Knight gets the rotation first, connects the charm, they have the damage, Oner does what he can to get what damage down he can, but then the fight becomes split, as Wei has to flash away to avoid the CC from T1's bot lane. Oner's just kind of awkward in this position, left isolated as the Jhin ultimate doesn't really offer much, while Faker finds himself in a 2 versus 1, gets that initial pick, gets the reset on the Ahri ult as well, allowing him to create some space, and then here he thinks, oh, maybe I have the damage if I can get the passive off, but the 4th shot from Elk is enough to shut Faker down. A very close affair. And the thing I wanted to highlight before we went into the replay was Bin actually moved from top into mid to push that wave underneath the tower because Zeus had set up a bit of a mini freeze. Then though, as the freeze was unbroken, Zeus was forced to push out that wave top and Bin could catch all of it. So you look at that CS discrepancy that had developed in the top lane, but Bin actually fixed it by being able to get this big wave in mid, move up to top, then catch that wave as well, and ultimately kind of equalizing what was a bit of a deficit at the start.
Important to put him in that beneficial position. Wei gets a little aggressive on the top side. But obviously in that previous fight, just a reminder why our featured matchup presented by Mercedes-Benz is the mid lane. Faker and Knight both in a position to make so many plays for their teams. They're legends in any draft, but in the context of this draft, two huge catalysts to find kills, to set up plays on the map. And right now, BLG using Knight to gain a bit of control around the grubs. However, top wave needs answering. They don't quite know where Zeus is, so they don't feel confident to initially force the objective as T1 showing up in force, ready to fight for this.
Ideally, Zeus wants to catch this bot wave before he's in a position to TP. Bin is already making the rotation up though, so it's BLG that have Purchase on the objective. Bin is collapsing very quickly. I'm expecting a big fight.
Bin first move is big. Zeus does have TP and he has mini Gnar stacked. Are they willing to commit Zeus's TP?
Looks like they don't want to. Instead, they'll just say, you know what, we'll concede the grubs. We'll give Zeus first access onto the tower. Bin was able to catch that wave in mid lane. But ultimately, just a lot of time spent wandering around the map. But ultimately, it did pay off for BLG. But Zeus getting some good work done on this bot tower.
Definitely. Unlikely he'll be able to grab that last plate, at least on this wave, as Faker and Oner trying to defend on. Well placed, well positioned. Ulti from Skarner is about to be traded here. It looks like his T1 are being caught out by the curtain call. Lockup coming in from Oner, but he might just have to give his life. Flashing out to safety. Where's the last bullet going to go? One more shot from Elk. Will not finish the job. Quick kill pickup underway from T1 on the top side.
In a 3v3, it's T1 that come out ahead once more on not level 6, meaning he can't remove one of those T1 members from the equation. BLG don't have the damage. And it means the T1 find themselves another kill. Elk with the push, has the 4th shot, looking to get that tower plate, will secure it. As resets start to come through. Meanwhile, Gumayusi, sitting in mid, takes the mid wave, actually rotates now down towards bots to try and help secure that tower. They're gonna secure it. Nice map movements there coming out from the T1 AD carry. It's Elk spending a lot of time to push in this wave. Yeah, resetting makes a lot of sense.
And a bit frustrating, right? Because you just get that 4 grub buff. You would love to be able to get some pressure down on top side. But Faker and the rest of T1 in the area means the play kind of fizzles. Elk doesn't have any mana or any biscuits, so this is a little bit
This is crucial, because notice Zeus, the reason why this is crucial is Faker still has TP available to him, but notice Zeus already back out onto the map. He's been able to go back to base, spend that money. He can now go top, catch that wave. Gumayusi continues to push in mid. He can now reset, get his itemization, and now Jhin's recall is delayed. So the rest of BLG are already back out on the map, while Elk needs to commit that reset.
And this means they're in a position to contest vision, to get pressure top, to get pressure mid, and start to set up for that Herald. They do not want to give this away when BLG have hit that 4 grub threshold. But on hovering, maybe hoping to catch Zeus out if he overcommits here. Malignus completed for Knight. Will make the ult more accessible, but not necessarily the biggest damage spike.
A lot of members hovering around the top side for BLG. Way there to cover once more.
Faker bot has the TP. Not sure how he fares in the 1v1 matchup, but with a completed item, he should be all right. Way looking to make the dive happen. Oner here as well. Bounce in from Zeus, trying to get away from the Skarner, knowing that CC is lethal. Impale is there, but the knockback is close! They push him away, but Zeus is still holding on. It's a 3v1, and Zeus is happy to take it. The power of Gnar keeping him standing. Beautiful from T1, and now here comes Keria. It looks like Faker. They're uncertain the charm going to hit. Now they realize it's the Neeko.
I love your response there, because I'm like, Faker's coming, Faker's coming. Like, it's not Faker, it's Keria.
I'll be honest. Design team, I have one request. Please, for us, make it the correct picture. Because if that was Faker, people start dying, for sure. Keria does not have the engage range.
Oh, okay. So ultimately, nothing comes off the back of that. BLG, they tried to set up a dive onto Zeus. I love the idea with Knight there right behind them. I felt like that they would have enough damage, but the arrival of Oner really kind of ruined the play setup, bought enough time for Zeus to get the Mega Gnar, and then he was able to make a mega play to buy enough time to force BLG to then disengage.
And when you burn those resources, you don't have enough left to take the fight. As Faker gets aggressive on the bottom side, not sure if they have enough here to make this happen. Poppy ult stolen away. T1, this is bold. They already got one objective. They want to go for 2. They force the flash out from On. T1 pulling incredibly far ahead. That beautiful play on the top side has won them so much. Bin is just now getting that wave into top side, and Zeus here for the play and right back to top to defend. Now Faker TPing as well. They're nervous. They don't want to risk the dive. I think maybe a bit over-eager from the side of T1. But still, they get the Drake, they get the Herald, they get the kills on top side, or the play on top side. Beautiful stuff.
So T1 walk away with the second dragon of the game. The bot wave left completely unattended, because once the TP had come through top, Faker wanting to be a homie for his top laner, matched the TP, and was ready to fight, ready to skirmish, had that Poppy ultimate stolen away to turn it into a 2 versus 1. Now, though, because those TPs were invested from the mid laners, they've said, well, we've got to catch this wave now. So both of them stay in the top side of the map. Knight does have a bit of an experience lead, I think largely because Faker has been moving a lot around the map. As Zeus now makes his way towards bot lane, Bin with the TP advantage for now, but there's not really an objective for them, for BLG, I should say, to find any real advantage with.
No, 4 minutes on both the Baron and the Cloud Drake. T1 obviously 2 Drakes thus far. BLG really not able to leverage the grub buff they secured earlier on. Won't matter too much, Knight taking over to level 11, but Faker not too far behind. First items completed. Just about across the board. I imagine Ben has it once he does get the opportunity to recall, but he has been out on the map for quite some time. So while T1 do have a meaningful gold lead and 2 Drakes, it's nothing insurmountable as Faker about to be caught out here. Pale going in, well timed, well positioned. Charm follow-up is there. Did you not want to give him the chance to steal away Knight's ultimate? Not sure about the individual cooldown. Taking his time on this one. Does he have the hijack? The answer is no. Faker going down. Taken out of the equation there. Great pick from BLG.
Nicely done by Knight and Wei. They were waiting for that flash to come through from Faker. Only then did Knight actually commit the ultimate. They were cautious of the fact that Faker could heal at any point, but he's got to get in range, and it was that they played around very well.
On knockback, using the clone to try to walk away here. Wait a bit more time. Aftershock already propped. That's one squishy Poppy now. Guma there quick to pick up the kill, but it's Elk who's in trouble. Zeus coming from behind as well. Elk's got nowhere to go. One more bullet, not enough to get the kill. But Bin and Wei are here as backup, and it might just be curtains for T1. Guma, the heal coming in. Keria trying to body block as best he can, but Bin already grabbing another kill. Keria now needs to get the hell out. Quick flash. Force shot will not connect. BLG, excellent counterpunch in mid.
My goodness, BLG are locked in right now. The response from Bin leveraging his TP advantage to be able to find that flank and come in from behind. T1 do find that initial pick, but they get the response kill onto Gumayusi. The kills are equalized, but in terms of gold, T1 still find themselves with a lead.
And there's a reason the Bin Jax is scary. Yeah, he was put down early on. They might have had to sacrifice an objective to get him to an even state in this game, but this is a terrifying pick in his hands. We take a look back at this play, you can see the impact that he has.
So again, this play starts with, remember, the top lane already died. We turn our attention onto On, who then gets collapsed. Level 6 doesn't get a chance to use his ultimate, gets chain CC'd, the ultimate comes through from Keria, and then they turn their attention onto Elk. It's at this point where they've overcommitted, but they don't realize that the TP has already come through. They're trying to set up this tower dive, but Keria is very low HP. Gumayusi has to ult him, and then Guma has to flash because he knows that the counter-strike is there from Bin, meaning that he now has nowhere left to go. Nice collapse coming through from BLG to equalize the kill score.
In a difficult situation, I like the patience from T1 initially, waiting out the Aftershock, waiting out the Celestial opposition to make sure they can burst down On, but overcommitting a bit in terms of resources, and BLG starting to tie up the gold lead. Again, in League of Legends, gold can be a bit misleading. It's more about the item completions. But you can see Faker's still not a second item completed. Similar story for Guma. So in the coming fights, pretty even footing. Flashes, however, on the side of T1, down across the board really on key members other than Zeus, and Knight in a position where he can really take over a fight given that he has access to that flash. Faker maybe going to try and burn it now. He does steal the Ahri ultimate. Won't be able to get anything so far.
Just space trading. Clears out the wave, gets level 12. He is about a half a level behind Knight just because of that kill that Knight was able to find on the top side. Dragon spawning in 40 seconds. Faker wants to get his reset off. Knight should be able to push one more wave, and then he can either choose to base, maybe complete the Leandries, or make his way down. That's actually forcing Faker to stick around as Zeus finally catches that bot wave. Bin back out onto the map. Actually already grabbed himself the arm guard. Something that maybe T1 won't be expecting in the fight.
Recall now from Knight. Probably second item completion. Faker in a similar boat, both mid laners with TP. They do want to fight for this objective. You can see Elk and Guma showing on mid-wave. They want to try and get this one shoved in so they can have advantage on the objective.
Knight wants one more wave. That might be enough to get in the Leandries, but how much time is it going to cost them? He secures it. Faker's going to match for the time being.
Used. TP bot lane. Going to be matched here. Zeus getting lower and lower. Desperate to get the Mega. Faker gives him a bit more time to stack it up, but it might not be enough in the face of Knight. Flash is available. Can charm flash quite easily. Playing this one out a little bit slower. Jack's ulti stolen for a bit of extra resources, a bit extra resistances. Elk waiting off to the side. Curtain call can come. Recall now from Zeus. T1 bullying, giving space for their top laner to recall and reset for the fight. He might need to use TP, but he'll be ready to go. Rage already stacked. Faker isolated.
The problem is, Knight does get the Leandries, but think about how much time he spent getting it. Because he stayed to that extra wave on top, he wasn't able to get the reset off, he wasn't able to replenish his HP or his mana, so once he then commits the TP bot lane to match the play from Faker, who had just gone back to base, he's now forced to reset, allowing T1 to guarantee themselves numbers advantage, especially given that Zeus was just allowed to back and had the TP available. They wisely concede the Dragon. But I guess you could argue that, like, a bit of a misplay there from Knight. You understand the logic. I only need one more wave for my item. If I get this item, I'm going to be really strong. We just have to stall. But then that play happens on the bot side of the map, and then it's just this cascading series of events, allowing T1 to put themselves on soul point.
It's a difficult position to be in. Every choice comes with a cost, and ultimately that one is going to cost them the Drake, right? Because Faker's TP does double value. It ensures they have bot lane prio. It ensures that they get the Drake. And now T1 are in soul point position. Knight has that second item. Ulti about to come off cooldown, still has the flash, but there's not a lot to fight for right now. Neither side going to be quick to start this Baron.
This top tower doing wonders for Knight right now. He's having so much freedom to just keep pushing out this wave. Faker's hesitant to push up, especially now that that fog of war has been created on the top side of the map. BLG doing a good job of keeping this vision pressure up. The top side of the river fully in their control. Faker now going to match the wave, and T1 have to respond to that pressure. They concede it. This mid tower is getting very low. 4 members strong in the mid lane. They should be able to secure this.
T1 holding on as best they can. Okay wave clear, but really just not enough to stop the pressure coming in here from the side of BLG. The threat of Faker on side, though. Does mean BLG will back off, likely to need one more wave. Bin feeling more confident in the 1v1. Zeus has flash, likely to be forced here. Flash out from Zeus. How long in the leap strike should you be able to finish the job? Goes golden! A freeze frame, baby, as he dunks the top laner of T1. Clean solo coming in for Bin.
A crucial solo kill as BLG secured the mid lane tower as well. I mean, Bin, you already saw how well he was doing in the 1v1 matchup, but the Jack's reaching a point where the Gnar just can't deal with him anymore, and he's going to continue to be a threat in the side lane.
And you got to respect the aggressive use of Seekers. So often just that defensive tool for team fights. Uses it to get to solo. Will get him that much closer if he does want to finish the Hourglass, to have repeated access to that stasis. So much of this game feels like it's going to come down to the team fight, so any edge you can find on a side lane, man advantage, kills, gold to get those item completions through is going to matter.
The problem for T1 now is they can't cross-map. Bin is able to secure this bot tower completely uncontested, and notice as T1 is shifting their control to the top side of the map, BLG is there to match. They don't need to cross-map or anything. They can actually just sit there and say, T1, try and take this tower in front of us. I dare you to, because if you do, Bin is just going to continue to push in bot. Obviously, he needs to get his reset off, does have gold to spend, but BLG now with a much firmer foot in this game. They've finally been able to equalize the gold.
We're going to need to see how well T1 can set up for objectives and find fights. Bin completing the Hourglass is big. Again, another access to stasis. We saw in the previous game, Aurora disrupted what T1 could do. It stopped them from leveraging so many of their team fighting strengths. There's no Aurora this time around, but with BLG getting stronger and stronger, if they absorb that initial blow, you saw in mid lane, if Elk is left standing, very easy for this lineup to start cleaning up on the counter engage.
I mean, if nothing else, I think it's fair to say that T1 definitely showcasing a stronger performance so far at Worlds than compared to what we saw them in the regional gauntlet.
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely much more of a return to form, but BLG are locked in after the upset against LNG. You can see their adaptations that they've made, making sure that they have comfort of their own, and they're finding success with it right now. Wei has found an angle.
Zeus in trouble once again. Faker can TP to try and save him, but it doesn't seem like the right call. Zeus leaping out, knockback, but the Impale is so crucial. Now forcing the TP, immediately forcing the response, but the man advantage will be decided BLG. Wall up there to initially break the fight. Impale to try to dissuade a little bit more, but now it's going to be Faker in trouble. Zeus getting lower. Bin finding the initial kill, goes golden once again, buys a brief moment. Curtain call now coming out in the extended fight. It's BLG taking control. Keria ready to disengage if they need it. Knight finding the angle. BLG with a beautiful play.
BLG set their sights on the Baron, a massive pickup onto both solo laners as BLG is quicker to collapse. They keep their pressure on the mid wave. The TP comes through from Bin. They set their sights on the Baron.
Pressure on Oner. Now pressure on Guma. Steals enough. Will they be able to stop this play? Keria cannot overstep. They don't have the damage to win a fight. The most they can hope for is a steal. But it's so difficult with On. It's so difficult with the pick tools that BLG can bring to bear. 8K getting lower. T1 are here, maybe just hoping for exit kills. Respawn from Zeus, he does have the TP, he will use it. 5K getting lower. Off on the side is the Poppy. On. Ulti, 15-second cooldown. Looking to lock up Elk. Where's the follow-up going to go? Keria trying to dissuade. Guma knocked back to the wall. The flash forward. Going to try to finish on the first AD Keria. Now he's on the hunt for Knight. Guma! popping off in the clutch moment, but Bin ready to turn it right back. That's the ultimate Counter-Strike is there, but it's Bin versus all of T1, baby, and that is not enough.
In the 4 versus 5, T1 are able to turn the fight around. Incredible target selection from Oner to set up for the team to shut down the bot lane. Wei has an angle to steal.
Clone will spot him. 5K, is he willing to give his life? It'll put them behind on the soul. He can't afford to die here. Zeus now chasing. Baron gonna fall, Keria getting lower. Oh, T1 securing the first Baron of the game, cementing the lead. Soul point as well. If BLG cannot take this Drake, they're going to be in dire straits.
But look at the target selection. You can see how T1 is kind of funneled into the blue buff area of BLG's jungle, but that then gives them avenue onto Knight and Elk. Knight doesn't have the ultimate available. Guma smartly flashes in to lock them down alongside Oner. And then with the backline gone, it's really all up to Bin to be able to clean up the fight. He does what he can, but at this point they're at a numbers disadvantage. And while he does take down Guma, Zeus is able to find a double. And this was all while Faker wasn't even there. Excellent team fight from T1, gets them the Baron, and just like that, they flip the game once more.
And you see frustration on the face of Elk, right? In the Jhin, when you're Jhin in that situation, it's so hard to do anything. You need space to work, you need space in the team fights. T1 now setting up for Soul Point. BLG happy to keep them here. The longer they keep T1 interested, even if they don't start the objective, the more of the Baron buff they are burning. But it looks like it might just be the flip.
Remember, you've
Carry
got the
off on the
Kalista as
side.
well.
Knockback from On will be big, trying to zone out. Gets the jungler out of the picture, they instantly get the objective, can't they take the fight? Faker now locked up, he's not even gonna have the chance to use the Poppy ult that he so graciously stole. Finally, we'll get it back, trying to burn it through, at least on Keria off on the side. A massive ulti, but now Elk is ready to open up, the curtain's called. One shot, 2. Health bar's too high for him to do anything yet. They have to retreat, they have to get out. The lockup into Keria is good. They're trying to take down Guma. Guma locked up for a brief moment, but Zeus is there to body block Elk. Just fast enough to get away, but there's too much CC. Now it is Knight. Can he make the difference? Last dash used. Way likely to fall here. The chase down from Oner and Zeus. Top and jungle together, salvaging the fight. Flash forward from Zeus. They're not done. They want more. On trying to body block. Knight with the red buff. How many cooldowns has he got left? Oner locked up. On running, splitting their attention, but he will fall.
The soul is denied from T1, but it's a massive teamfight win once more. These teamfights are absolutely crazy. They're an absolute nail-biter. As we turn our attention once more on with a huge ulti on to the jungle top combo. Faker then goes in. The chain CC is ruthless, but even then he gets the Poppy ultimate. He knocks him up, he gets on incredibly low, and BLG are turning their attention onto him. But on the cross map, on the other side of the fight, I should say, Bin gets locked down. He, just like Faker, doesn't really get an opportunity to impact the fight that much. Keria gets incredibly low. Guma gets CC'd, which means that Keria then drops. Knight sees an angle to shut down Gumayusi. But then again, it's that top jungle combo to clean up the fight. They're not focused down. Their consistent damage is enough. I think Wei even messed up going through the wall at the very end there.
And a frustrating, such a close fight overall. Almost enough damage to kill Faker before he could get that Poppy ult, that extra burst. And you can see Knight, he's so damn powerful in those extended plays. But eventually he just runs out of resources. You only have so many dashes if you're not going to be able to find the kill.
I mean, he needs his dive buddy of Bin there with him, and Bin was just shut out. He tried to make the TP flank happen, but Zeus would not give him the space. Wow, crazy game. I really think a lot of credit needs to be given to Oner this game. His target selection has been on point in these fights. 2-1-8 scoreline. He's been involved in 10 of the team's 12 kills.
And you can see how close all of these fights are. I feel like if BLG just had a little bit more upfront burst damage, Wei playing team fights well, locking up Guma for moments, consistently forcing his cleanse out early. They have so much CC, but again, the damage not quite enough. So much sustain coming in from the Kalista, now armor as well.
Oner on track to securing the GA. Oh, he actually just got it.
GA, Faker's now got Cosmic. It's going to be impossible to get away from him.
But it's really important to understand the T1 is the LCK 4th seed, and they're that for a reason, right? For them to get a win here, even though it's just a best of one, in the context of the World Championship, when BLG are considered tournament favorites alongside that of Gen G and HLE, for them to get a win here would be massive in terms of upsets.
I mean, to be in the 1-2 bracket for either of these organizations, whether it's current expectations or all-time expectations, it would have been unthinkable coming into this tournament 100%. Short of a truly disastrous draw for T1. which has not been the case.
And I think so many T1 fans are happy to see this team reignited, playing at the
100%.
level they're expected to play at. Obviously, as an organization and for these players, World Championship is where you often see them turn on. But normally it's that man in the mid lane who is struggling to have impact in this game as Knight continues to flourish on his Ahri, but the rest of his team is stepping up to help provide him the space to still be a threat in these fights.
Definitely. And again, really, across the board, T1 doing great in these fights. Credit to Zeus as well, who died in the solo bot play, has been found at solo kill, but has now rebuilt that gold lead in a decent position.
Now, BLG not out of this game just
At
yet.
all, no.
Bin now completed his third major item, going to have a lot more damage off the back of that Wit's End. He's going to be that much more of a threat on the side lane, but really I feel like this game is going to come down to the team fights. Baron spawning in 45 seconds, the Dragon in about a minute, 3 items fully completed for Knight. The death cap as well is so much damage for this Ahri. Knight's target focus is going to be crucial. A single charm onto Gumayusi could be the game changer that BLG need.
Luckily for him, he has the cleanse. But it might not be enough, given the sheer amount of CC, the potential follow-up from Elk. We saw the bot side play where BLG were able to set up fine picks, leverage the range advantage they can have with the Ahri dash-in and charms, with the Jhin curtain call. But in the straight 5v5s, it's been T1 coming out on top. Maybe BLG can continue to find those picks. You highlighted it. Knight has to be the center of attention here with death cap completed. He needs to be doing the damage, he needs to be setting up the plays. It's a big burden to put on a single player in a game, but he has the tools to do so.
We take a second. Obviously both teams have just been farming for the last few minutes, but 5 seconds, the Dragon will be alive. It's Zeus that enters the river first, clearing out the control wards. Bot wave. Well, the mid wave is what's being contested right now. Oner quickly makes his way over on, maybe looking for a flank, but will be spotted out on the control ward. Has to be careful. I like what Bin's doing. Keep the pressure on bot lane. Keep that push in, give you a nice angle to potentially create a flank. Faker now joins the squad.
Steadfast presence down. Initial route on the way is big. Impale not hitting anybody. Way forced to flash out. Knockback is good from On. Knockback into the wall as well, but Faker now getting involved in the fight. No, the Steadfast presence up just in time. Bin on the backside trying to finish off Oner, but I don't think he's strong enough. Can go golden. GA, burn. But where's the rest of the damage? Where's the rest of the follow-up? It does not matter. T1 are just stronger in the 5v5.
BLG, it looked like that they were going to turn and fight. A great poppy ultimate came through from On, but once Bin had TP'd in, he was committed to the fight. He had to go in.
Knight goes in, but no, Oner secures it. Cloud Soul to T1. I set on the Baron as well.
I mean, there's no reason not to. T1 must feel so strong right now. Ahri's just used the ultimate. Oner on cooldown, but it's going to be up relatively soon. They still have Fakers and Zeus' ulti ready to go.
And Observer's beautifully highlighting. They're going in blind. They'll just now see the health bar. Faker off on the side, looking to lock up Elk, forcing the flash. Protobell flash forward from Keria. The lockup is there. Elk's got nowhere left to go. They don't quite catch Knight. Knight now versus the world, but there is Faker to finish the job alongside Zeus. T1 dominating in this mid to late game.
The turn was so fast. BLG didn't see it coming. Faker came from one flank to then force the flash out from Elk, but the moment it was gone, Keria struck. The team fighting from T1 coming online today as they're now looking to break the base.
T1 at Worlds just continue to impress. Team that seems to never disappoint. Once again, finding a way to topple the LPL champion. It's not done yet. BLG have an angle for a fight. On has ultimate in 10 seconds. Great Impale. Bin in the midst of 3, but is it going to be enough? He just cannot finish the kills. On now getting knocked back. The Gnar is there, and T1 will not be denied. T1 1-2-1. On can knock them away, but he cannot knock them out of this game. T1 take down BLG.
An incredible game with some fantastic team fights. Today will not be the day that T1's record is blemished. 1 loss to their name, and they will not concede another. Incredible.
And that's just the best of 1. All right, AD, we had a great time with it.
Yeah.
What do you have to say about that?
What I have to say is that I wish this was a series. Like, I want to have more games of this.
I mean, we might if BLG can now make it through the lower bracket. They're a 1-2 team. T1 at Worlds is just a different It's a different beast entirely. It's not the same as what's in the LCK.
Oh my God. Even just saying that one more time, just the fact that BLG are 1-2 and are fighting for their lives, no one would have expected this at all.
And we've talked about what had been going wrong for T1 in the first games that they had in BLG as well, and I feel like while T1 corrected their mistakes, especially in the early game, BLG keep on making the same mistakes.
Yeah, the early game from T1 was so good. Even if you're just looking at and focusing at in the swap, specifically Zeus. Yeah. 2 plates top lane, shared 3 plates, but gets both plates, 2 plates solo bot lane, including first turret gold. He is rich as hell based off of the assignments they gave him. And there was one time where like Jax was roaming up for grubs early. He was like, free plates for me. Kalista also pushed mid just to help him out. So it's like, it was a team focus on getting gold on him.
And look at the acceleration once they did have the lead. There was that mild moment before there was a really crucial Baron fight that they clutched up. But Zeus's Gnar for me, as well as Guma's Kalista, were such standouts in this game.
Well, let's check out Guma's Kalista actually in the HyperX Reflex replay that we have, because Raz, it came down to really, really small timing, turning the whole fight.
Yeah, because BLG is the team that made the winning fight bot side, cross-mapped it to Baron, and T1 without Sylas, without Faker, says that they can take the fight. And so they, specifically Oner, ultied in to try and get Elk and just track Gumayusi here. Because Poppy stuns him, but he cleanse flashes instantly to follow up and get the kill on both Jhin and Knight. So like, for him to be able to immediately follow up and get those kills, 1 man down on a winning play from BLG, crazy to see.
Incredible. And we actually have Gumayusi on stage for the Verizon post-game interview with CHOC, so let's hear what he has to say.
T1 gets another win, and I've got Gumayusi here with me together with Jhin to talk about it. And I've got to ask Gumayusi, last year, the journey of T1 at Worlds was all about beating the LPL, and now you already took down their first seed. Will we see a similar story this year?
승리 정말 축하드립니다. 작년 T1 월드 서사를 보면 LPL 팀을 모두 잡고 우승하셨잖아요. 그리고 오늘 또다시 한번 LPL 1번 시드를 잡으셨습니다. 작년과 비슷한 스토리 기대해봐도 될까요?
저희 지금 경기력이 꽤 괜찮다고 생각하고 다시 한번 최고가 될 준비가 되어 있는 것 같습니다.
I feel like our performance is pretty good. We are ready to become the best of the world one more time.
Now, when it came to your run also last year, a lot was about dictating the meta, especially from the bot lane. Do you feel like you have the same possibilities now, and are you ready to surprise some people?
또 작년 우승할 때를 돌아보면 T1은 정말 메타를 개척해 나갔고 지배해 나갔고 특히나 바텀 메타를 언제나 좀 창의적으로 지배해 나갔습니다. 올해도 이런 가능성이 있다고 보시는지, 올해 또 깜짝 놀랄 만한 그런 전략들 준비되었을까요?
올해도 약간 바텀이 좀 가능성이 무궁무진한 메타인 것 같아서 저희 바텀이 워낙 챔프 폭이 넓기 때문에 또 여러분들이 좋아할 만한 재밌는 카드들 많이 준비할 수 있을 것 같습니다.
This year's Worlds meta opens up so much space for the bot lane champion pool, and our bottom duo has a champion ocean. So please stay tuned for our creativity.
We will. Now, when it comes to T1 as a whole, you are coming in as the 4th seed, and I know maybe this season wasn't exactly the way you would have imagined it. What are the things you feel as a team you should improve on top of the things you've already shown that you know very well, in order to make sure that you make it to the playoff round, the knockout round, sorry?
T1 사실은 이번 월드는 4번 시드로 오기도 했고 서머 시즌 순탄하지는 않았습니다. 어느 점을 조금 더 개선해야 이번에도 노크아웃 스테이지까지 순탄하게 갈 수 있다고 보시나요?
일단은 썸머 끝나고 선발전 끝나고 저희끼리 좀 이야기하고 문제점 많이 개선해서 지금 월즈 Y는 상태는 좀 좋은 것 같고요. 그냥 집중력 잃지 않고 방심하지 않고 이대로 쭉 가면은 노크아웃 스테이지는 갈 수 있다고 생각합니다.
After the summer season, after the regionals, we had a lot of communications and we talked about our issues. So I think we're right now on a very good stage. So I'm pretty confident as long as we can keep our focus and go with our role, I think we'll be able to easily make it to the knockout stage for sure.
Okay, wonderful. Interview 감사합니다. Thank you so much, Gumayusi and Jhin. And that is T1 with another victory on the board.
Wants to chase, way ready to go over the wall. T1 zoning him off. Faker goes in again anyway. Flash away from the charm. It's perfect. The pop on the Q2 coming through. Bin feeling more confident in the 1v1. Zeus has flash, likely to be forced here. Flash out from Zeus. How long in the leap strike should be able to finish the job? Goes golden. Curtain call now coming out in the extended fight. The Gnar is there, and T1 will not be denied. T1 1-2-1 on can knock them away, but he cannot knock them out of this game. T1 take down BLG.
And if you're wondering why I move the way I do, I just feel so good, good, good. I just feel so good, good. I just feel so good.
Red Bull gives you wings.